All right, so we are picking up where we left off in class last Wednesday. So you should be able to download from today. Where are we? March 4th, April. Yeah, so this user forms, this is the file that we left off with last time we were together. And remember then, it's a user form. User form is just allows me to make a window that I can do kind of more complex organizations of information. Instead of having to type or pick from a list, hunting department, or the department of a particular product, I can choose it with a combo box or with a set of option buttons. We see the combo box here as well. And so we've got some other controls to learn about. So let's look at the controls. So the controls that we've seen so far are the label. Label is static text. The user doesn't change the text. You can change it through code, but the user doesn't change. Text box is text that the user is allowed to change. Combo box is like a combination between a text box and a list box, which we're going to see today. So it can drop down to show the list, or the user can type the value in. And then we've also seen the option button, as well as the frame, which allows us to group option buttons together and to be able to put a command button on, the ones we've seen so far. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the list box. So the list box is just like the drop-down portion of a combo box, but it doesn't ever close. It always just stays open. And so I'm going to go ahead and this will be a place where we can choose the promotions for this. So I'll go ahead and bring on a label. That will be the promotions. I'll just change this one to, don't really need to change the name of this one because I'm not going to refer to it through code. But I'm going to change the caption to be promotions. And I'm going to change the background style to be transparent. And position that here. All right, so let's take a look at our promotions data. This is going to be kind of a complex one. First, let me start off by looking at the lists. So here I've got a list of promotions number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Free shipping, free warranty, buy one, get one free. And then we might have a discount. If there's a discount, we'll actually put a specific amount of discount that goes with it. So those are the promotions I have to work with. But now let me come to the products and kind of look about how we might specify in this data that a particular product is on some kind of promotion. So over here in column H is where we have the promotion. Now, it's pretty simple. If I look at this one like row 7, that's promotion number 2. What is that? I forget. Promotion number 2 is a free warranty. So listen, if you buy this product, we are going to give you the warranty for free. Where it becomes difficult is like this product on line number 2, is that we can put multiple promotions on the same one. So this one's going to have a discount, and it's going to be whatever promotion number 1 is. Free shipping. So if you buy this one, we'll give you a 10% discount, and we're going to ship it to you for free. And so we need some way to be able to express this information to the user in such a way that they can choose it reasonably without having to type it in, a comma-separated list of the promotions. That seems difficult. All right, so let's head over and get that set up. So in a way that's similar to the way that I put the choices in the combo box, I'm going to do the same thing with the list box. The list box has an add item method, and as we are loading this form, initializing the form, we'll want to put the list of promotions to choose from. Oh, and I am going to be referring to this through code, so I'm going to name this LST, short for list box promo. So we'll call that LST promo, and I guess I don't have that many promotions, so I'll make it a little bit smaller. Now I'll go to the code for my form, and I'll find where my show data is. Right at the top, show data. And here I've got a loop like x equals 2. And this loop is actually looping across that list table to bring in my list of categories. That's going to be really similar to doing my promotion. So I'll just copy it and maybe duplicate it right here. And this is going to be my promotions. M-O-T-L-S. Okay, so let's see. Starting off at X is equal to 2, but I don't want to look in the 6th column. I think I want to look in like the 2nd column. Is that right? Yeah, 2nd column is where I've got the list of my promotions in here. So I'm going to have to fill those up. So instead of looking at column number 6, column number 2, and I'm going to continue to iterate on my loop until I hit a blank value, and I'll be writing in values from the 2nd column. So that should, when I show the form now, that should be showing the promotions that I have to choose from. Now, I haven't done anything to make it actually highlight the ones that we have selected, but that should at least get us to where we can see the options. So I'll go ahead and click play to run my form. And it seems like I should have had a few more promotions in here. I'm starting at 2. What have I missed? Take a look at that code again. X equals 2, do until row 2, column 2's value is blank. Row 2, columns 2 value wouldn't be blank there. Oh, I'm adding that. I added those onto my category. I added them into the combo box. That was the problem. So interestingly, I'm going to go ahead and show that now. So if I look at my categories, at the very bottom of my categories, I should see my promotions. Yeah, free shipping, free warranty. I just didn't update the code quite enough. It's always the risk when you reuse code, especially if you don't understand it, is that it's easy to miss like an important part of it. All right, so instead of adding those onto the combo box, I'm going to add them onto my list box. LST promo. That should take care of it. All right, so now I've got some promotions showing here. That looks great. Now, I know that I need to be able to select more than one promotion, but the problem is, as soon as I select one, it unselects the other ones. Oh, maybe I can hold the control key down and select multiple ones. No, shift key, alt key, control shift. Darn it, nothing. It's like, I'm stuck. That's because by default, a list box is set up to be a single select. Like when you select one, it unselects all the other ones. And so let's go ahead and make that change. So that's just a property that I can set at design time of my list box. I think it's called multi-select. Yeah, there it is, multi-select. And I've got 3 options here. So one of them is like single select. It's like, you know what, you can only choose one. The other one is multi-select. When I set this one that's like multi-select multi, that is, I can turn each one on and off independently with a click. So I click to turn it on, click to turn it off. And so I could select multiple ones by just clicking multiple. And that's probably the right one to use for this setting. But let's just take a look at the other option, this extended one. This then is going to act like the file explorer in Windows. Let's run this. And so now I can turn each one on and off. No, let's see. When I select one, it unselects everything else. But if I hold the control key down, then I can select each one on and off individually. But if I hold the shift key down, it'll select everything in between. Now, it doesn't strike me that like it makes sense to say, oh yeah, I want that set of, it's not like these are somehow organized that I might want to bring in a whole set. I think they're all pretty well independent from each other. So I think my best bet on this one is just the middle choice, that multi-select multi. But it doesn't matter. As long as I have something selected there that's not the single select, then it would work. I think it probably makes most sense to have it. You turn each one on and off individually. All right. Now we just got to figure out how to get this one to actually show the right value, actually indicate the right values of the promotions that are currently selected. Let's do this. Let's start off when we say show data. Let's make sure that our right sheet is selected. So maybe the very first thing inside show data is let's go ahead and make sure that we've got our products sheet selected. So that product sheet is called data. So data.activate. So now if I run this, yeah, it's activated that sheet and it's brought on this line 2. So here I should be having 1 and 4 should be selected because right, that number 2 record has promotions 1 and 4 on it. Well, how do I select multiple things? Now, when we had that combo box, because it was a combination of a text box and this list box, I could set the single value just by setting its value equal to which one I wanted to be selected. But now I can have multiple ones of these selected. So let me, I'm just going to put another button on this form that I'm just going to use for debugging. So I'm going to bring on another command button. And maybe I'll just even change the caption of this to say debug. And all I'm going to do on this button is I'm going to take me into break mode. So let me just say stop. That should take me into break mode. So I called it button 1. Ultimately, I'm going to delete it before it goes into production. This is just a way for me to get the form up and then to go into break mode so I can kind of poke around at the form. So I'll run this, I'll hit that. I'm in break mode right now, but my form is loaded. So I should be able to come to my immediate window and I should be able to look at stuff. Like I should be able to say, let's print LST promo dot name. That'll be pretty boring because that's like the name I just identified it by, but I can refer to it like this. So it turns out that this combo box has a property called the list. It is an array property. So I should be able to say the list sub 0, and it should give me the number 0 item in that list. Yeah, free shipping. Number 1 is the next one, free warranty. Number 3 is that last one. So in fact, I think this is the first time we've seen this. We have an object that has a property called list that is itself an array. So like everything before that parentheses has identified the array, and then I treat it just like an array. I have the elements there in the array to deal with. Well, as it turns out, it has another array property called selected. It's the same size as my list array, but it's just a Boolean value of which ones are selected. So if I was to ask for list promo.selected, and maybe I would ask for the upper boundary of that, it'll argument not optional. Ubound list promo selected. Okay, there's another way to get to that, and that is LST promo has a property called list count. Should have been able to get to it with that. I'm not sure what I had wrong on there. That'll tell me how many items there are in the list. But the point is that there is this property called selected that is the same size as my list array. It's an array property as well, but it's a Boolean array. It just has true or false in it. And so it's exactly parallel to the items I have in my list. And so by turning any one of those to true, I can make it selected. So now, if I just ask it to show me, what's my number 0, 1 selected? Well, none of them are selected, so these should all be false. So 0, 1, 2, 3, they're all false. But if I were to change one of those to be true, I'll just change the number 2, 1 to be true when I'm going to execute this line. But watch over here on the promotions list box. As soon as I execute that line, it would help if I spelled that right, True. When I execute that line, it's going to make that selected. And because I have it set up for multiple ones to be selected, I can execute that on, I can change multiple positions of that selected array, and they'll be selected. I can change it to be not what it currently is, and then each time I execute this, it'll just toggle back and forth. So what's its new value? The opposite of what its old value was. So now what I need to do is I need to look at what's ever in column H, and based on those numbers, I've got to decide which one of these to show. So that's what I'm after. How comfortable are you with the idea that the way that I select these is by toggling to true or false an item in that selected array? So kind of 0 to 5, we just talked about. So 5, 5, 5, 3, 3. Yeah, so it's a little bit strange. It's because I've got lots of them that can be selected. I've got a whole array that has the same size that I can turn each one to true or false to select or unselect. So now the trick is I've got to look at this 1, 4 and decide which one of those to turn to true when it loads. So I'm going to come to my code, and up to here where I'm loading, I'm showing the data. So here, I'm working on the promotions. Maybe here I'll say I'm going to show which promotions are currently selected. Show currently selected promotions. Okay, so I think my best bet in here is to split whatever I have in this list of promotions. So I'm going to declare a little array here. Dim, I'll call this promo array and I'm going to do this one as a variant. This is like the first time I've made a variant variable in class. I could make this as an array, but I'm not sure if I want to, it would have to be a dynamic array, and would I want it to be an array of strings or as numbers? And you know what? I think I'm just going to say variant, and just whatever it does is what it's going to do. Now, when we first talked about string functions, I introduced one to you, but we really didn't have the background to really understand it. There's one called split. And split, if you remember, allows us to put something in here. So maybe I'll put in a set of promotions. I could split that based on the comma. And what we saw before is that I could tell it which one of those items I wanted to bring back by specifying an index here. So, I could say I want the number 2 one to come back, that's 4, the number 0 one to come back, that's 1. Well, what you know now is that, tell me what kind of data is the split function returning? Is it a string? Is it a number? Is it an integer? What is it? Yeah, it's returning an array. And when we first learned this function, I hadn't talked about arrays yet at all. So I just showed you could use it this way by putting this 1 in parentheses after it. But because it returns an array, I could just assign that to this variable that is going to be holding that array. So split, split, and I'm going to be looking at my data sheet, whatever row I'm on, and then column 8, H is 8, or you could say H in quotes. And I want to split that based on a comma. I'm going to stop that right here. So we'll stop partway through the loading user defined VAR variant. I hope if I spelled variant correctly. So now I should be able to look at my promo array sub 0, what do I expect that to print? I've set that array to hold the results of the split function looking at this cell. So what number should be the number 0 position of my array? I've looked at the text that was in here, split it based on a comma. So I should have an array with 2 elements, a 1 and a 4. So the number 0 should be my 1, and the number 1 position should be my 4. So I've taken that string of characters, separated it by the comma, and brought back the array that's the result. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to iterate across that array, look at those numbers, and then decide which values to actually toggle to true in the selected array of the list box. All right, well, I've been using X for kind of iterating over these sets, and they're kind of self-contained. So let's go ahead and do that again. For X equals 0 to the upper boundary of my promo array. Next, debug dot print X. That should just print 1 and then print 4. Actually, that should print 0 and 1. And looking at the X position of the array should give me the 1 and the 4. So I'm going to go through this. I mean, when I'm running here on this cell, it will give me 2 values. So X will go from 0 to 1. It'll get the 2 indices of the array. And then I'll print the 0, and I'll print the position of the array at 0. That should print 1. I'll print a 1. It should print the 4. So I've got access to that. So inside this loop, I can use this information to tell me which ones of that list box to change to selected. So I have LST promo dot selected sub OK is going to equal true. But which position? Okay, so when I have promotion number 1 selected, which element of my selected array do I want to toggle to true? Yeah, the 0th one, because it's the array is 0 based, and kind of understandably for the business user, when we're looking at this sheet here, there is no promotion 0. That would be confusing. We don't start counting at 0 in our society. We start counting at 1. Computer scientists notwithstanding. And so there's going to be a little bit of an offset that happens here. So I'm going to say, here's the value where I printed the 1 and the 4. So I'm going to put that, but I'm going to subtract 1 off of that. So when it's a 1, it's going to toggle the 0 position to true. And when it's a 4, it will toggle the number 3 position to true. So that should show free shipping and discount should be shown when I open on this one. Stop this, go back to my code, get rid of my stop, and then run my form again. And so now, sure enough, my free shipping and discount show up right. We come down here to this one that's just number 2 and run my form. Yeah, free warranty. You've got another one down here, 1 and 2. This should be the first 2 showing. Yep, I got the first 2 showing. So that code then is successfully showing my indicating which of my promotions are currently selected in the data. Once that's up, the user can click and change them however they want. And then we've got to do something analogous on the backside to say when we're saving it, to save the right values in. Do we want any questions to answer about this? Or should I spend any more time on this before we move on to the save part? All right, let's go ahead and save. So let's come look at the saving part of this. CMD, click save, put a few comments in here. So this is save the department. And then after that block, let's save the motions. Okay, so now we've got to kind of do that in reverse. We've got to build a comma-separated string based on whichever items in that selected array are selected. So let me go ahead and make a variable just to iterate across the loop. So dim x as an integer for x, or to iterate across the array, for x equals 0 to the upper boundary. Let's just use the list index of my, or the list count of my list box. So LST promo dot list count. Now, if I have 4 items in my list, the count is going to be 4. In that case, I want to go from 0 to 3. So I think I'm going to go from 0 to the list count minus 1. So now I just want to look at the selected array. So if LST promo dot selected sub x, now the temptation is to say equals true, and that would work fine. But I'll put then on here. But remember that this is a Boolean value itself. So it's going to be either true or false. So when it's true, this is going to say true equals true, which is true, but it's already true. So I don't need the equals true on here. So what do I want to do if it's selected? I need to start to accumulate up those values. So I think I'm going to need another variable here. I'm going to call it, this is just, I'll call it, this will be my promo, call this selected promos. That'll be a string. Okay, so I'm iterating across all of my selected array. And if the one I'm currently looking at is selected, then I just want to put a value, I want to put a particular number into my selected promos string. So selected promos is going to equal a new value. What it's going to be? It's going to be its current value. Actually, let's go ahead and put a comma on. Let's add a comma. Actually, let's do its current value. That's right. It's current value plus a comma plus the new one. So it's going to be selected promos, concatenate on a comma, and then concatenate on the one that I just found. Now, if I concatenate on X, that would be a zero-based value. If the very first one is selected, that would put a 0. I don't want to put a 0. I want to do the opposite here that I did before. And so now I just want to add 1 onto this index. So when the number 0 item is selected, I want to add on number 1. When number 3 item is selected, I want to add on number 4. And now let me just go ahead and once I've got that, I'm ready to write that to the cell. I'm ready to write that back to the cell. And what's that going to be? It's going to be writing into column number H. And let me start off just by writing my selected promos string in there. And it's not quite what I'm after, but let's give it a shot. So I'll go ahead and run the code. I'll add another one on. So I've got 3 selected, and I'll hit save. It looks pretty good. Let's see, that's the save. Except I've got this leading comma. Oh, and that makes sense because the very first time I write a value, I'm saying it's going to be equal to its current value, a 0-length string, then a comma, and then the value I'm trying to put onto the string. Well, that's no problem. I just know that I'm always going to have an initial value on there if I have anything at all. So let's just do this. Let's say if the length of my selected promos is equal to 0, then what am I going to do? I'm going to make this equal to blank. So if nothing is selected, just wipe out whatever's in column H. Otherwise, we'll know it's greater than 0, there's something there. Then instead of writing the whole string out there, let's take the mid of that string, starting at the second character, and then taking the rest of the characters. So I won't specify how many characters it takes, starting at the second character and take the whole rest of the string. In other words, skip the first character. So now if I've gotten rid of everything, it will just blank the cell out. If there was something selected, get rid of that first comma. That should be great. Type mismatch. Mid of selected promos. Length of selected promos is 0. Selected promos is a string. Mid of this. That looks great. I'm going to run to that point just so I can kind of see what we've got going on. Oh, it won't even compile. Didn't use selected promos more than once. And run it to this point. All right, so now I'm not even sure where my type mismatch is. What's a type mismatch? It's an error, but tell me something more about what that means. I'm really not sure where the problem is, but we'll track it down. Type mismatch is when you're trying to put a value into a variable that it can't fit. Oh no, that's an overflow. Type mismatch is when I try to put a value in that's the wrong type. Go ahead.
Like, okay, I need to assign this value to this variable. Declare this as one type. Right?
That's exactly what type mismatch is. Yeah. So, and it's happening like even before I can compile. So here's what I'm going to do. So anytime you've got code that doesn't let your form even to run, like the first thing to try is to say, listen, let's put a breakpoint right at the very beginning of my initialize. So, before it's run any code, just when it's first coming, see if I can get that far. Okay, so I'm able to get that far. So now let me go ahead and just kind of step from here. I'll use Shift F8 as I step. Maybe I'll use F8 to go into show data because my guess is it's probably somewhere around here. Loading up the categories. How many categories are there? Too many. I'm going to right click down here and just say run to this cursor, run to cursor. Promotions is only 4. I'll go through those. Got right to the very end. This is my show data. I get to here? No, I'm not quite getting to there. Okay, so the problem is here, show currently selected promotion. Oh, it's because I've got that comma on the front. So yeah, the whole problem that I'm trying to get rid of is causing me the problem to load. So right here, I'm splitting this based on the comma. So what do I have before that first comma? Nothing. It's probably a zero length string. And so when I try to take that zero length string and subtract one off of it, that's where the problem is happening. We do F8 through here. That's going to fail. Yeah. Okay, so this is an intermittent problem just because I've got this bad data in here. So I'm just going to get rid of that, and that should take care of the problem. Get rid of these breakpoints. And my stop here. All right, so I'm going to choose 3 promotions and hit save. And got rid of my code here, so let me run that. Now it's put them in correctly, and I should be able to read those right back in, change them. So yeah, the problem was that leading comma was making it so I had a zero length string I was trying to subtract one off of. But that looks pretty good. There's all of them. All the promotions. Okay. Sorry that I missed that error. It's a little bit of a detour, but I think we're in good shape now. Questions? Yes. So the problem was that the comma in my data, I actually had comma on the beginning. So this was like an intermediate step before we saw how to get rid of that using the mid statement. And if I try to load this with there being that leading comma, it's splitting my promotions based on the comma. And so I get the 3, the 2, and the 1 in an array, but I also get a zero length string in the array. That's right. The problem was not in the code. It was that leading comma here. Okay. So now what I'd like to do is handle the special case. Go ahead and bring this up again. Now, all of these first 3 they're just great. I can just say, yeah, we're going to give you, I don't know what this product is, but we're really trying to get rid of it. What are we saying? Listen, you buy one of these, we'll give it to you for free. I mean, the shipping will be free. The warranty will be free, and we'll give you 2 of them. I don't know what it is, but we're trying to get rid of it. But discount is different, because if there is a discount, then we need to ask how much. So it's not like we've got a different promotion for 10%. That'd be one approach. Have a 10% discount, a 20% discount. I guess we'd have to have a 25% discount, maybe I don't know, do we want a 30, a third off, a 33% discount? So rather than having lots of different discount promotions, each with a different amount, well, I say, if there's a discount amount, I want to actually show a place where you can show the discount. And so that one's going to be kind of a special case. So let's go ahead and add a discount in here. So for this one, let's see, bring over a tool. And the tool that I want here is a text box. And it's not going to be a very big one. In fact, this is going to be a % that we show here. So I'll probably bring a label on and say discount. I'll copy one of my existing labels since it's already set the background color. Just do a copy and paste on that. So here's my discount. Change the caption to be discount. And then I'll maybe even like put the word percent next to the box. So I'll copy that again, change the caption to be a percent sign. And then put that right over next to it. Now, I only want these things to show when the discount is selected. But let's at least get it putting its value in. So this is going to be really similar to our name, because we're just going to read a value right off of column I on the current row, and we're going to plug it into this text box. So let me give this a name, txt percent or txt discount. And let's go handle both the reading and writing of this before we worry about making this appear and disappear. All right, so let me come up to my show data, and I'm probably just going to copy this line that here is number 6, row number 6, because that's really similar. We're on column I now. And instead of writing to txt name, I'm going to write to txt discount. Don't need the me in front of it. That was just a trick to see how I could track down my variable names a little more easily. So I'll copy that. I'll find the save and reverse it on the save. So it just writes in the opposite order. Okay, so I've got now the discount now is coming in and being saved as it's specified. Like, I think I'm just, rather than try to convert between 0.3 here, I'm just going to put this as a 30. That is a 30% discount. This is a 10% discount. And we'll handle the math later on that. How many discounts do we have? %80 discount. What is that? Yeah, I guess I'm done. I'm just going to delete my rest of my discounts off. Delete. Okay. So now let me just see if we've got that actually showing properly. Oh, no, not another type mismatch. It's probably happening when I show my data, text, number I. I'm going to put a breakpoint here and see if I get that far. Since that's the change I made, my hunch is that when I run that line is where it's going to fail. Oh, but it may not be. Yeah, it's probably because I don't have a promotion at all. So I'm probably failing when I get to my promotion text here. Let's go a little further down. And we're splitting the promotions. Show the currently selected promotions. Yeah, I'm going to run to here. So yeah, this error is in the code because I'm having a similar problem when I don't have a promotion at all. So what I really want to have happen is if I don't have a promotion, I don't want to come into this loop at all. So no, I think that's probably going to be okay. Yeah, we're skipping that loop. Not quite sure where the error is happening. Erg. Okay. I said, I'm not quite sure where that error was, but I'm going to get rid of my breakpoint. And we'll track it down when it shows up again. On here with a 10% discount. Yeah, that's showing a 10% discount. If I change it to a 20% discount and say save, it writes that to 20. Excellent. You see what I have going on. I'm on a line with no promotion and no discount. Let me see if my form will load. That loads okay. There's one with no commas. That runs okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what was causing that. Darn it. Okay, but now the trick is, what I'd like to do is I would like to say, listen, when discount is selected, I want this whole discount part to show. When discount is not selected, I want it to disappear. And so let's just go ahead and do that. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to make another sub procedure that's just called show discount. We'll put it down here. I've got some unused ones down here. I'll just delete these and make a sub procedure called show discount. And I'll put a parameter called show as a Boolean value. So I can either give it a true or false, and it will, based on whether I tell it true or false, it will show or not show. So I'm going to say if show, then we'll do something else, we'll do something else. And what are we going to do? We're going to change the visible property of those three controls. So since I'm going to be referring to those labels through code, let me make sure I've got those labels even named in a proper way. So I've already got this one named. This is TXT discount. Let me name this one to be LBL discount. And I'll name this one to be LBL percent. And I need to change all three of those. There's a visible property whether the thing can be seen or not. So here's my show. And if show is true, we want to show it. So LBL percent dot visible equals true. And LBL discount dot visible is true. And TXT discount dot visible is true. And we'll put the same thing in the else, except we'll make those false. So depending on the value of the parameter that's passed, it will either show these all or hide them. Okay. Thank you. All right, so now when this thing first loads up, I want to set the visibility of my show discount to match what that promotion is for. So we'll come back up to the top where I'm showing my data. And after I've got my promotions set up, I'm now going to decide, should I show that? Let me just go ahead and put my code in here, show discount true. Now how should we decide? We're either going to say show discount true. When it's first starting, it's going to be true by default, but let's either show true or false. But how do I decide if I should show it or not? I have a couple of options. I can either look at my promotions to see if I've got one selected that says discount, or I could look here and see if there's a 4 in my promotions. The trouble is, if someone goes crazy and puts a bunch of promotions in here, we might get up to 14 promotions. In which case, if I'm just looking for a 4 in that list, I could get a false positive showing the discount when it really isn't selected. So I think I like looking at the promotions better. So why don't we do it that way? We're going to make an assumption that they're never going to change the promotion, the discount from being the number 4 promotion. So we're just going to go based on that index. So let's just look at if LST promo dot selected, and what number do I put right here to look at the discount promotion? Is it 0? Which one should it be? Yeah, 3. Again, this may not be the best of assumptions here, because if someone comes along and says, you know, I'd like discount to be the number 1 promotion, and they change it, this is going to quit working. So we could make it a little more sophisticated, but let's get it working this way now and decide if we want to spend more time on it. So instead of, so 3, if the number 3 position of the selected is equal to true, then we want to show the discount block. Otherwise, we don't want to. So right now, this one does have the discount promotion on it. So if I run it with here, it should show. Maybe I have it backwards. Run it without that one. Doesn't show there either. All right, I'm going to put a breakpoint and we'll take a look. Maybe when we're showing our data. All right, I'm going to put a stop right here and we'll run to that point. Okay, so let's look at LST promo dot selected sub 3. That's false. They're all false. Oh, I have it too high. So if we look at our code here, at this point, I saw this promotions here. This is just building a list of promotions. Here is appropriately show the discount block. But here's where we're showing which ones are selected. Here's where we're actually dealing with the selected property. So I just need to move this block down below the block that's showing the selected promotions. Because when that list box first starts up, nothing is selected. All right, let's give that a go. Okay, so now when I've got a 4 there, it's selected. When I've got one that doesn't have the discount, it comes up not selected. So it's initializing correctly, but now I have another problem, and that is when we select discount here, I need that to pop up. So, someone talk to me about how am I going to think through this problem? Like, what am I going to have to work with to decide to actually make this show when someone clicks that discount? Any thoughts? I'm going to have to identify a particular event that's happening to that list box. So let's take a look at our list box here. And we want to see the list of possible events. So LST promo is selected, just double clicked it. LST promo is selected. I've got click. What do you think? Here's my list of events. Which should I choose? Got a couple here. I've got after update and I've got change. I don't know which is which. No problem. Debug.print after update. Let's do change. Let's just see when these things actually execute. So now I've set up event handlers to say, listen, when the after update event is received by the list box, just print after update. This one will print change. Find out which one of those fires. So I just clicked on it and it looks like change is the one that's doing it. Yeah, each time it changes, we're getting a change. I bet the after update triggers when I leave the field. Turn this off, try it again. That's change. If I hit tab, I don't know what triggers after update, but change is the one we're after. So after update, I'll get rid of. Click, I'll get rid of. And every time we change, we want to call show discount. We have to pass it true or false based on whether that number 3 element is selected or not. So the temptation is to write an if statement here. If that number 3 is selected, let's just go ahead and do it. And then we'll show you how we can do it a little simpler. If LST promo dot selected number 3, now remember, it's going to be true or false. Like that expression is itself true or false. And so when it's true, we want to show discount true. Otherwise, we want to show false. But realize what this is saying. We're saying when this expression is true, we want to call show discount and send it true. When it's false, we want to call show discount and send it false. So let's just first make sure that works. Yeah, it looks like it works just fine. We'll turn it off, it goes away, we turn it on, it comes in. But realize when it's true, we send true. When it's false, we send false. So I could just do that much simpler by passing it that expression. So I'm calling show discount and I'm just passing it either true or false. Show me how comfortable you are with the idea that these 2 blocks of code do exactly the same thing. That block does exactly the same as this one, 0 to 5. 5, 5, 5, 3, 5, 2. It's kind of a strange thing when you first see it. This one seems simpler. I'm looking to see, it might even be easier to say equals true. Like if the value in the number 3 slot of the selected array is true, then call show discount sending it true. Otherwise, call show discount sending it false. But for this whole thing to evaluate true, this part of the expression itself must be true. And so if that is either true or false, what I'm ultimately trying to achieve is to send the value true or false to show discount. And so this value is true or false. I'm just going to send that as the true or false value to show discount. And so I'll write it that way. Would it be okay to write it the other way? Like if you're thinking, you know what, I think the other way is easier to read, write it that way. That would be just fine. It's slightly less efficient. Big deal. It's going to take a nanosecond more. Ooh, I lost a nanosecond today. Okay. So now I think I like that. I think it's feeling pretty good. Let's go ahead and run it. And yeah, we turn discount on and it shows up. Otherwise, it goes away. If I'm on one that's got it, yeah, I could change the discount there, 25% discount. Like make it go away. It comes back. It's still the 25% discount. I say save. It'll save the 25% discount in there. Looks great. Okay, I think we have our promotions working, including toggling that discount on and off as it goes. Question? Hey, if you're going to check if you're going to be writing a check, then spell my name Gove. Yeah.
So when I try running it, I'll run it and it will say compile out sub O function not defined. And then it will take me down to just sub promo, sorry, private sub.
Is it showing you? It's taking to a particular place?
Issue, like where I am, but it's the same thing that you have.
I think you're missing a T on show discount. And that's a function we defined down below. Okay. Let's see what else there is to learn. What else could we possibly learn about a user form? By the way, at this point, I've exposed you to everything you need for the next project. So the next project is doing a user form. And you do everything, kind of all the stuff we've seen so far is stuff that we're doing. So you've got enough to do that next project. Let's get back to our form. Bring our tools over. Checkbox, let's see. Do we have anything that makes sense to do with a checkbox? So checkboxes are just exactly like option buttons, except that they're totally independent from each other. So you turn them on and off, each one individually. They have a value property that's true or false, just like an option button. So we won't spend any time on that one. This one's a toggle button. It's just like an option. It's just like a checkbox. It just has a different look. And it was kind of a bad idea from the beginning. I'm just bring that on and show you how it works. So the toggle button, like you click it and it sticks in. And then you click it again and it comes out. Like it's exactly the same as a checkbox, but it's like a button that you push in and it sticks. It was the 1990s when they made this, and someone thought that was a good idea. It wasn't. It was a bad idea. So we won't spend any more time on that one. This is a frame. We use those for grouping option buttons. Here's the command button. So then there's these other ones. Let me show you the tab strip. This is like a multi-page. The tab strip is just like a part of the multi-page control. Let's look at this one. So a multi-page control, it's really kind of neat. So you can have like multiple pages on it, and I'll take this toggle button and I'm going to put it onto this page. So now, like when I select that page, it shows the items that are on that part of the toggle button. So it's just like if you've got like too much to fit on one form, you can kind of put tabs on, and as you select those different tabs, they'll show different parts of it. The tab strip is just like the top of the bottom. It's just like the tabs at the bottom, but you select it and it just lets you know which one is selected. And you would have to decide really what you want that tab strip to do. But it seems like the biggest use is just what we're doing here. And that is, selecting a different portion of your form to show. Okay, the next one. This one's kind of interesting. So you can put a scroll bar onto a form. And let me just, I'm going to put something, it's scroll bar. Oh, so it's already coded when it changes. So let me just do a debug.print here of my scroll bar's value. So its name is scroll bar 1. And you're used to thinking of as a scroll bar as all it really does is like scrolls a window. Like that's what you're used to a scroll bar for. But what this does is it's like giving you a value. So it's showing you what proportion of this thing has actually scrolled to. So it's going from, the default is 0 to the upper boundary of your integer data type. So 32,767. And so you can control how much it moves when you click here. By default, it's moving 10 at a time. When you click on this button, it's the small change is just 1 at a time. Those are just settings that you can set on this scroll bar's property. So it's a way to graphically set a numeric value. Now, you could apply that to something that scrolls, and you could make something else scroll with that. But the scroll bar by itself is just like a number. So we have something called min and max is there. So you can set the maximum to only be 100. So we're going to go from 0 to 100. The small change index is 3. And let's see, where's the other change index? It's got to be another change index here. Oh, there it is, large change. Set that to be like 9 or something. And so now, small change moves it by 3, large change moves it by 9. You could drag it. Whoever thought like flashing the slider was a good idea? Like that's, someone who's got some kind of seizure disorder is going to like fall on the floor and collapse from that little flashing light there. So yeah, it's kind of a weird one. I don't very often use it, but that's what it's there for. All right, the one more thing that I want to show you is like, how do you actually launch this form through code? So let me come to my regular module. And we got going on here. I'm just going to make another sub procedure here. The only way we've seen this so far is by running it from the run button. But here's how we would run it through code. I'm going to say, yeah, I think it's just show. So it's the name of the form, frmprod dot show. It has this property here as modal as either true or false. So let me set that to true, which I think is the default. And when I run this code now, it's going to say, hey, let's go ahead and launch this. But what we're going to notice is, will it print this? So debug.print now. Okay, so I'm going to run that form. Valid procedure call or argument form product.show. That should show. There we go. So I took the true off. So it's just form product.show. And it has opened this, but you'll notice it has not printed the current time yet. And that's because when I show this, it's like, oh, it's going to pause the execution of this code until we close it, and then it will run on and do the rest of that code. I should be able to, oh shoot, there's one more thing I got to show you for the project. We can probably adjust that so it doesn't. This is how you'll want it for the project. There's one more idea here. Let me just show you how to do a data validation. Okay, when the user clicks save, I'm going to come here and say, listen, you've got to have a product name. If you don't have a product name, I'm not going to let you save. So here's what I'm going to say. If the product name, if the length of the product name is 0. Then I'm going to put up a message box. Product name required. Required. Now, great, it puts up the message box, but what's it going to do after the user clicks on OK on the message box? It's going to keep right on going and save that. And what I want to do is I want to say, no, if I put up that message box, exit the sub procedure. Don't go through and save. So now I'm going to go ahead and run this. If I get rid of that and say save, it's like, no, name's required. It is not letting you close. It's not writing anything out to the worksheet. You know, it might even be nice for me to say, exit sub. Before I exit the sub, let me say txt name dot set focus. That's going to actually make that the central part of the form. So if I try to delete that, just hit save, it says no, and it puts the insertion point back there like it's telling me, hey, that's where you got to do the fix the problem. So this is the idea of a data validation. We get to the point where we're going to save it, write out, do some check. If it fails the check, put up a message, and then don't execute the code below it. Now you have enough to do the project. All right, so that's it for user forms. They're really powerful, and they look like they were made in the 1990s, which they were. Thanks for coming. Class dismissed. You're too kind.